Welcome to Sibeesh Passion. In this video, we are going to see some Azure Cognitive Services which are a speech API and text translator API. Let's jump into the code right now. I'm going to open this folder in Visual Studio Code, which is my favorite IDE now. I'm going to create a new folder called app and I'll be opening it. Okay, let's run npm init with parameter yes, which actually create a package.json file with all the default values. As you can see, a package.json file is already been created for us. Now what we need to do is we need to set all of our dependencies and dev dependencies in this package.json file. I have already listed down all the codes or the files we need to create here. So basically I will just copy this particular code from this Word document and I'll be pasting here. So here I'm going to create a TypeScript application. So I just gave the command as build tsc, and here is my dependencies request. I'll be using this request dependencies for calling Azure API and get the result whatever we are requesting. And dev dependencies, I have created request types for requests and types for nodes, and ts nodes, as I'm going to create a TypeScript application here. I'm using TypeScript and TSLint. TSLint is actually not required, it's not mandatory, but I would suggest you to do that. Okay, once it is ready, the thing which is waiting for us is actually npm install. So let's run npm install, which actually download all of our dependencies which was mentioned in the package.json file one by one, and it will put everything in node underscore modules folder. And it will also create a package-log.json file, which is the file which actually make control of your dependencies versions. It actually used to log the version which you have mentioned in the package.json file. So right now all the packages have been created in the node underscore modules folder. We are good to go now. So I'll be creating a new folder, sassy. Here is a folder where all of our codes are going to be. I'll be creating a new file called index.ts. As we are going to create an API, so we may need to have a lot of configurations, right? From the Azure portal, we will be copying all the keys informations, and also it would be always great to have a file called config.ts. So I'm going to create that. Okay, now as I said, this is going to be being speech API, so we'll be converting all of our audio files to a buffer and buffer to audio file. So we will be having a separate helper function, a separate helper file, which actually having all the helper functions, file functions related to that. So I'll be creating a new file called helper.file.ts. Okay. Now the another thing which is missing here is actually we need to set this application for debugging purpose, right? If anything comes wrong, we should be able to debug and find out what exactly the cause is, right? So to configure a debugging option in Visual Studio Code, we need to create a new folder called .tscode, and we are going to create a new file called launch.json. This is a file which will be having all the configuration options for the debugging. we can directly click on this add configuration button. Click on this. So this is how it is. So basically we'll be doing all the configuration in this array, configuration array. I have already pasted all the codes really needed to that, and I'll be copying it from here. So we are going to create a node application, so type should be node and a request should be launch. There are two kind of requests actually, launch and I can show you that. Launch and attach. So if you are giving arguments, then launch should be your request type, and if you just comment it out here, now if you just give, you will be able to see two request types, which is actually attach and launch. Now if you give attach and uncomment this, you can get an error actually, which is property is not valid for attach. So we should be using launch here, uh, because I need to launch this application whenever it is in running state, right? So I'm just converting all my I'm using ts node for as I'm going to create this node application in TypeScript. So our launch dot setting is all done now. Now only thing pending is actually we just need to write some codes and make this application be able to debug. So I'll be copying the config section from my Word file. I can explain this all this config section, URLs, endpoint, key 1, key 2, synthesize URL, and everything I'll be explaining very soon. So now as I said, I will be working with some buffer and video files, so we need to convert our videos to a buffer, right? Then only we can pass this information to Azure portal. So I'll be using this particular code for that. Basically I'm just importing fs and buffer, and whenever this read file function is being called with the path as a string, it will just return the buffer from that file. Okay, now we need to import some packages in our index.ts file. So everything is done now. So the only option pending is actually we just need to make sure our application is able to debug. We are able to debug our application, right? So I'm going to call config dot speech dot wing speech api dot auth endpoint. Let's make sure we are getting this value from the config file. Okay, let's put a debugger here and press F5. Now we are able to debug our applications. As you can see, debug have been hit here. Now if you just go to this variables, you can see a config section here, and under that config we will be able to see our speech, Bing speech, and auth endpoint. That's good. So we are able to debug our application, so if anything comes, we'll be able to fix that, right? Okay, let's just remove this debugger and just give run. We'll be able to, we are getting the value here in the console, debug console, right? So now a little introduction about the Bing speech API. So for creating a Bing speech API, you should visit the portal.azure.com. Let's visit that. It may ask for it should be asking for the sign in. If you don't have already an Azure subscription or Azure account, I strongly recommend you to create one with Visual Studio subscription, where you can get some dollar per month, which is actually enough for getting started with Azure. So here is my portal. It is taking quite a bit time now. Okay, my Azure portal is loading here. All you have to do is just click on create a resource. As I already said, we are going to create a Wing Speech API. So we need to type Wing Speech here. Just give a search. Here we go. We are getting Bing Speech API here, and you can always read this introduction. And once you are done with this, you can click on the button create. In this form, you'll be asking a lot of information like name, subscription you want to select, pricing tier, and resource group. So you need to type the name you want. Let's say my speech API, and I'm going to select Visual Studio Enterprise subscription here, and pricing tier. I have already used my free tier here, so I'm not able to use that here. So let's say I'm selecting this one, and you can either select a new, you can either create a new resource group or use an existing one. So I'm going to use one which I have already created, that is Cognitive Services, and you can click on this checkbox here which actually pin this particular resource to your dashboard. So as I have already created one Bing Speech API, I'm not going to create now. So I'm just canceling all of this pop-up. Now if you just look at my dashboard here, this is the one which I have already created. You just need to click on that. I mean, in your Bing Speech API, you need to click on that resource and you need to go to overview. Here it is being given an endpoint, right? This is actually not an endpoint, this is actually an auth endpoint. You need to copy this and you need to paste it in your config file. So I have already pasted it. This is our auth endpoint. Now only thing pending is actually we need to paste our keys. I will be copying it from here into here. Please be noted that this keys may not be working for you because I would have already deleted by the time you are seeing this video. So please do not try with these keys. I strongly recommend you to create your own keys. So we are ready with the portal, and we have already created a speech API in our Azure portal. So now let's just write some codes. Okay, we are actually going to convert our text to speech first. So I will be copying this particular function. I'll remove this. Okay, I'll be explaining this code so you don't need to worry about it. So this is the function text to speech, which actually uh, accepting text parameter as string. As I said already, we are going to create a post to Azure API. So there should be some authentication mechanism, right? So here is the mechanism that we are using, OCP APIM subscription key, where we are actually passing our subscription key which we have already received from the Bing Speech API we just created now, right? So this is our request options header, and with this request options we are going to create a post request with the auth endpoint slash issue token. This particular request will be creating a token for us. This token will be using for the actual request. So in this we are just creating a payload with this format, speak and voice, and we are creating a request options with some headers. So as you can see, we are in the header, we are giving authorization bearer plus access token, which we have received right now. So in the body, we are passing the payload, and in the post request, we are using this synthesized URL. You don't need to worry about the URLs and all. I'll be giving you the GitHub repository link, which will be having all of these codes. And basically, we are just piping our write stream, and we are just creating an output.mp3 file in the src folder. If everything goes well, you'll be able to see a new file called output.mp3. Okay, now we just need to find out a text which we can convert to a audio file, right? So for that, I will just go to my website, and I will just copy a code, I mean text from here. Okay, and I'll paste here. Now all we have to do is just press F5. Oh, cool. Now as you can see, an output.mp3 file has been created in the src folder. Let's just open it in Explorer and play it. It contains 135 KB.
Sibeesh Passion is a non-profit organization which is created for sharing knowledge and widen our thoughts. You are welcome to be a part of it.
You heard it right. Okay, now it seems it's working fine. Now what we need to do is we need to convert an audio file to a text, right? So no worries, I have already created a function for that, which is speech to text. I'll just copy this function and I'll comment out this, paste it here. Here in this function, which accept file name as a parameter, and for all the post requests, it is mandatory that we need to give a header. So in this request options, we are creating a header with OCP APIM subscription key, and the body here we are giving a buffer, which which is being created from the read file function. So all we have to do is we just need to pass the file name. Let's call this function. So I will give ami.wave. So I'll be copying a file called ami.wave to this folder. Let's find out that. Cool. So I copied that and I pasted it here. So now we have me.wave file, and I'm going to play that it for you so that you can hear that content.
Hi, I'm Amy, one of the available high-quality text-to-speech voices. Select download now to install my voice.
Okay, that's cool, Amy. Thank you. So all we have to do is just run this function, right? So let's go ahead and hit F5. As you can see, we have got a lot of information from the Azure portal. Let's go ahead and see all the information here. Here the recognition status shows success and confidence level is pretty much good. And this is the content. Hi, I'm Amy, I'm one of the available high quality text to speech voice. Select download to install my voice. I'm not going to download anything, Amy, sorry. So this is the content, and we are able to identify the confidence level as well. So all the information we needed is here. So that's all about Bing Speech API. Thanks a lot for watching this video.